Hey, it's Steve from the old Yorkshire Geek. A bit of Lucasfilm news. The big story that's been going around these last few days, there's been a Fortune magazine article has been released criticising Lucasfilm. Fortune's a big business magazine. It's not really entertainment, it's business. So it's looking at, can Disney salvage the $4 billion they spent on Lucasfilm? It was published in Forbes. On the Forbes website, but you've got to subscribe for that. But luckily, I'll show you. There you go. This is the not Forbes, Fortune. This is the Fortune website. But you have to subscribe for that. So I'm not bloody doing that, am I? But luckily, it was published on Yahoo Finance. Here we go, exactly the same article. The Force has left Lucasfilm. What has gone wrong for the studio behind Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and how Disney's Bob Iger can salvage his $4 billion investment. People might argue, but they've already made it back with this, the 4 Star Wars films that they released, 5 Star Wars films that they released, but one of them lost money. You've got to remember, yes, those films did gross over $1 billion each. 4 of them did. We have to remember that Disney doesn't take all of that money. Doesn't take all of that. I don't know what they made. Probably about $5 billion, wasn't it? I think Force Awakens were $2 billion-ish, and the others were around about $1 billion, weren't they? Hovering around that area. And so we'll call it $5 billion, and that's what they grossed, but remember, Disney didn't get all of that. Just got part of that. So I think technically they're still losing. They're still losing out money due to the purchase of Lucasfilm. Because I don't know. Will the Lucasfilm stuff on Disney Plus have spurred subscriptions enough to pay for it? I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look. Ignore that. That's a video. From Christian Hetzner. Right. Taking time out of his busy schedule running Disney, Bob Iger flew to the Cannes Film Festival. Not Cannes. What am I saying? It's Cannes, isn't it? It's not Cannes, I'm not American. Flew to the Cannes Film Festival in support of Harrison Ford's latest movie, even posting on social media snapshots of the aging... what is the matter with me today? Aging action hero... It's because there's a hero, so I'm going to action hero. On the red carpet, Lucasfilm Limited had just premiered the 5th instalment in its Indiana Jones franchise, and a lot is riding on the fedora sporting, bullwhip toting, limousine riding son of a gun archaeologist portrayed by the now 80-year-old Hollywood star. I thought he's 81 now, isn't he? Whatever. At nearly $300 million plus the rest. It's more than that. The rumours are that it's like over $350 million. But anyway, at nearly $300 million, Dial of Destiny is one of the most expensive films ever made, and initial reviews suggest it could bomb big at the box office. That's like Jar Jar said, isn't it? It's a bomb big at the box office. When it lands on June 30th, when Iger acquired Lucasfilm for just over $4 billion a decade ago, well, 11 years to be honest, 2012, it paired the century-old animation company with the studio behind Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Willow, and Howard the Duck, and what else did they do? Red Tails, which wasn't bad. Anyway, yet the match made in heaven now risks becoming an albatross around Disney's neck. The third Skywalker trilogy started off with a bang in late 2015 with The Force Awakens, only to end with a whimper 4 years later as fans deserted the franchise. Which, they did really. The studio hadn't produced a theatrical release of any kind since, allowing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, despite recent setbacks, i.e. Phase 4, to supplant it as Disney's cash cow. I mean, the MCU's essentially been over since Endgame, hasn't it? Avengers Endgame. For all intents and purposes, apart from the Spider-Man films. But they're not Disney, they're Sony. Right, the Force has left Lucasfilms. Is there more than one? Said Eric Schiffer, CEO of private equity firm Patriarch Organisation. Sorry, I bet that ruffled some feathers in Kathleen Kennedy's office. the patriarch, in an interview. That emotional connection it enjoyed with fans has been damaged. The Los Angeles-based media industry investor and self-admitted Star Wars fan still counts the deal a success for Iger, but he believes it got lost producing too much subpar content for Disney. Yes, it did. Also on Disney Plus, for the most part. To get the Force back, Lucasfilm needs to reconnect with its Joseph Campbell roots. Obviously, there's a link there. You can look. George Lucas, Joseph Campbell said that George Lucas was his best ever student, and the Hero with 1,000 Faces book that Joseph Campbell wrote is the basis essentially for most modern storytelling. You can look at the way that stories are structured, and the classic hero's arc follows what's in that Hero with 1,000 Faces. And that's what happened. That's what George used for his Star Wars stories. Movies. The inner set of mythologies were all hardwired to that motivated Lucas to create Star Wars in the first place, said Schiffer. He argues the constant hunger to feed the streaming business with fresh material helped sow the seeds for the current malaise. I don't know why they wanted to just make new stuff all the time on these streaming services. Just throwing money at it, aren't they? And it's baffling. And not making great stuff. Some of it's good and some of it's fine, but for the most part, it's just not good, is it? On all the different streaming services. Anyway, even as The Mandalorian, the series that started it all for Disney Plus, in Iger's words, helped the CEO attract subscribers and catch up quickly to Netflix, which ain't caught up. It came at a cost of stretching the Star Wars brand beyond recognition. Now that growth has faltered, with 4 million customers cancelling their membership in the 3 months through March. That's technically not true. They lost, 3 to 4 million subscribers. I think 3 million of those were in India because they lost a big... Disney Plus were showing in India, were showing like cricket. And obviously cricket's massive in India. And they lost that account or whatever, they lost that business. So like 3 million... people, cancelled their Disney Plus because they couldn't watch cricket on it anymore. And then there were another few 100,000 in America. So it has lost, a lot of custom. But anyway, and Wall Street is pushing Iger to end the scattergun approach of showering creators with money for new content. Instead, investors want him to end the over $10 billion in cumulative streaming losses since the launch of Disney Plus 3.5 years ago. And people say, how could they lose money streaming? They're making all that money every month from all these subscribers, billions and billions of dollars every year. How could they be losing money? But, it's a massive business, isn't it, streaming? They've got to have lots of servers probably dotted all around the world to keep it all working. And all that costs money. They've got to pay people to look after them. All that costs money. And it soon adds up. It's not just one fella in there with a little computer in his office without everything on Disney Plus on it. It's not. There'll be massive buildings with huge banks of servers because they've got to handle that load, haven't they? Anyway, the idea that less is often more could apply to Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones films, which enjoyed their heyday in the 1980s. Fans were largely satisfied when the titular character finished on a high note, literally riding off into the sunset at the end of the third film. Yes, they did, and that was the perfect ending for that trilogy. Just like that, but that's Tatooine. With some sort of crate dragon and Jabba's sail barge, and a Jawa sandcrawler just moving into frame that you can't see, and some sort of ship. I don't know. It's an ambience thing. And so, when Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls... No, see, he keeps putting S's at the end of his word. Lucasfilm's Skulls. It's just Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, singular. Was released 15 years ago. I'm saying he. It could be a she, I don't know. Or they. Was released 15 years ago, the spectacle of seeing an ageing Ford emerge unscathed from a nuclear blast by hiding in the refrigerator left no one asking for more. That were a low point. Although the film wasn't, wholly disastrous, there were enough in it to put people off. Monkey swinging through trees and stuff like that. Over the top stunts. Anyway. Unbelievable stunts, that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, but they will get a sequel nonetheless when Dial of Destiny swings into theatres a full 42 years after the first instalment. Factoring in marketing and distribution costs, including the cinema's cut of receipts, will likely have to pull in around $800 million at the box office just to break even. And more, probably. Iger didn't come out of retirement in November just to watch his prized possessions wither on the vine. The board expects him to right the ship, breathe life back into the dormant stock and resume paying a cash dividend to shareholders. But to be honest, that would have probably happened under Bob Chapek, because he was, well, allegedly, about to clean ship and get rid of all this woke nonsense and everything, and identity politics and all that's been dominating the entertainment business for the last 7 years or whatever, and losing money for the studios essentially. Anyway, where were we? To do so, he'll need to churn out family-friendly fare full of iconic characters and thrilling settings capable of being repurposed into immersive experiences for his amusement parks. The value of intellectual property cannot be measured simply in a franchise's box office receipts, said Guy Bisson, co-founder of the media industry research firm Ampere Analysis. You need to take into account its contribution in streaming, in merchandising, in the characters and rides at parks. For example, Disney finance chief Christine McCarthy explained to investors something seemingly mundane as refreshments can squeeze more revenue out of each Disney World visitor if they can be turned into a Star Wars themed experience. Well, yeah. Same with Harry Potter, innit? Everybody wants a butterbeer. I was even looking that up yesterday. I want some butterbeer. I'm going to have to buy some. I just want to know what it tastes like. Butterscotch, apparently, but it just sounds glorious, doesn't it? And I want to try some. But I bet butterbeer makes, the Harry Potter franchise like a lot of money. But anyway, but Lucasfilm, which did not respond to Fortune's requests for comments, knows it is running out of excuses now that a movie based on a Nintendo video game proved you can still rake in over $1 billion post-pandemic as long as you have the right concept, which is obviously the Mario movie, Super Mario, whatever it was called, Mario Brothers, whatever it was called. Yes, that did really well, and Bob Iger even, it says here, for this very reason, Iger notably started off his fiscal Q2 earnings call this month by congratulating Universal for the success of Super Mario Brothers. It gives us reason to be optimistic about the movie business. I've never played a Mario game, never. Got a Switch here, never use it. I was actually looking, thinking if there were any Mario games out for the Switch, and there are, but I'm not paying that money for them. Anyway. The pressure on Dial of Destiny to perform for the Disney CEO became apparent through a telling exchange at Cannes, which he was attending for the first time. Film critic Pete Hammond recounted Iger's reaction when informed Deadline just published a rave review of the fifth Indiana Jones movie. You could see the absolute relief on his face. "You have made me very happy to hear that," he told me, and he meant it. That's probably because first impressions have otherwise been dreadful. With the franchise low 50% score on Rotten Tomatoes as of writing. I think it's even lower if you click the top critics. Vanity Fair proclaimed it not worthy of the whip. Oh, pardon me. While the BBC felt Ford's globe-trotting adventurer had been relegated to a background figure in his own film. Included mainly for the purpose of being upstaged by younger co-star Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Did she do some writing for it as well? I'm sure she might have done. She probably did. But the rumour is, at the end, spoilers, if it's true, that she knocks him out because he doesn't want to, do the right thing. I'll not say what. She knocks him out and basically she must do the fireman's carry him over her shoulder and carry him to wherever. I don't think she does, but she does. Apparently the rumour is she does knock him out, I know he's knocking on a bit in the series. I know he's 81 years old, about 80 years old when he made it. But I think the character's supposed to be about 70, isn't he? It's the fella that Pat Roach couldn't beat. Anyway. I'm not sure how many fans want to see Indiana Jones as a broken, helpless old man who cowers in the corner while his patronising goddaughter takes the lead, but that's what we're given. and it's as bleak as it sounds, the BBC wrote, branding it a gloomy and depressing final act. There you go. And then the rumour was that she was, it's his goddaughter. The rumour was she was Marcus Brody's daughter, but apparently that's not true. She's somebody else that we've never heard of, I think played by Toby Jones, which should be, a decent character because everybody likes Toby Jones, don't they? Well, I do anyway. With Disney needing to shell out $9 billion at least to buy Comcast out of Hulu as early as next year, the last thing Iger needs is bad word of mouth building over the next 4 weeks to asphyxiate any hopes of blockbuster success. Right now, though, grim news is all that Lucasfilm has to offer the Disney CEO. An attempt to expand on the lore of its 1988 fantasy tale Willow flopped hard when the series debuted on Disney Plus in November. Not only was it cancelled after the first of 3 seasons, they were planning 3 seasons and it got cancelled after 1. But the show, because it was shit, sorry, I'm swearing, I know, but it was bloody awful. I didn't get past episode 2. I watched episode 1, got 10 minutes into episode 2 and turned it off and didn't go back. It was bloody awful. But the show was banished entirely from the platform as part of a thorough spring cleaning. Critics argued Willow in retrospect would have been more valuable to Disney as a tax write-off than as actual content for subscribers. I wonder if they'll be able to release it on, Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. Some have said that, the reason they're taking all this stuff off Disney Plus is part of like a tax write-off, so it won't be able to be released anywhere else, but I don't know if that's true or not. So if it were your favourite show, tough, unless, you did that with it. Anyway, at the heart of this mess is Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy, a member of Fortune's 2015 class of most powerful women. The youthful 69-year-old, I think there's some work that's gone on there. She looks ready to, her face, it's like, she gets a little snick on it, all unravelled, like real tight, innit, her skin. But maybe that's just the way she is. The youthful 69-year-old is an accomplished industry veteran in her own right, producing dozens of classic feature films, including Jurassic Park and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I meant to look this up and I forgot. Has Kathleen Kennedy ever produced a film by herself, as the producer? I don't know. Because I'm thinking a lot of these that she's given credit for, she wasn't the only producer. She was there, but it was Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall and all those, wasn't it? That were the main producing powerhouses. She was just there. I wonder if she would have had her success if she hadn't made coffee for Steven Spielberg and married Frank Marshall. Anyway. Yet, even being George Lucas's hand-picked successor has not shielded her from hefty criticism. I think that was a hostile takeover. I think something happened, and he was forced to make her the head of Lucasfilm. People say, he just wanted to retire. I don't think he did. I think there's some shady business stuff gone on in the background, and he was forced to hand it over to her because not long after, the Disney sale happened, didn't it? Anyway, a number of fans begrudge her, along with Last Jedi writer-director Rian Johnson, for deconstructing Luke Skywalker in the third trilogy. Yeah, with his first draft. He proclaimed, didn't he? He bragged. He handed in the first draft of The Last Jedi, and it was accepted and greenlit from there. Unbelievable. Actor Mark Hamill distanced himself from the creative choices Johnson and Kennedy took with his iconic character in a rare industry rebuke. So what's this one then? Hamill regrets criticising Last Jedi version of Luke Skywalker. Okay. Yes, it's when he said he disagreed with every decision that Rian Johnson had made for the Luke Skywalker character, didn't he? Fundamentally disagreed. Anyway, antagonised by the perceived shabby treatment of their childhood heroes, fewer and fewer fans showed up from one movie to the next. The third and final instalment, Rise of Palpatine, only took in half of the $2 billion that premiere film The Force Awakens made for Disney. And I really like The Force Awakens. I know it's not perfect. I said this every time, I know. But for the most part, it was an enjoyable film. And it's set up, it were a good setup, because that's what J.J. Abrams, is good at, his mystery boxes, his setup, he's no good at finishing stuff. But anyway, It's perhaps, but the I said this the other day, I think during my live stream. I hate the bad robot, so like ethos of taking over a franchise and killing the old stuff, doing away with that, even down to the merchandising. It does me head in. He did it with Star Trek as well. Anyway, it's perhaps no wonder that the company's $5,000 per package Star Wars themed hotel, the Galactic Star Cruiser, is shutting down. The tactical mistake of placing it in the timeline of the Disney sequel trilogy doomed it to a lifespan of just 18 months after opening. If they'd done it as the original trilogy, it'd probably still been open. With Darth Vader and all these and rebels and stuff running about. Those wealthy enough and a lower price point. Those wealthy enough to fork over thousands of dollars just to roleplay their heroes tend to be the middle-aged fans of the original films who want to do battle against the sinister Darth Vader. They remember as kids, not the bland and forgettable Kylo Ren. Following the disappointment of 2019's The Rise of Palpatine, no further theatrical films got off the ground, despite past proclamations. And I don't think there's new proclamations, isn't there? That possibly won't happen. I think at least one of them will. Numerous Hollywood creatives like Lost Damon Lindelof, another mystery box writer, Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, which I did enjoy Wonder Woman, and I watched all of Wonder Woman 1984, but it wasn't great, was it? And Thor Ragnarok was okay, but I still haven't finished Love and Thunder. Taika Waititi, he just annoys me. But he's a good filmmaker. Jojo Rabbit won an Oscar, for God's sake, and he's the man who brought us What We Do in Shadows and films like that, and was it Wilder People or whatever? I don't know, I hadn't seen it, but apparently it's good. So he's a good filmmaker, he's just annoying. But anyway, we're all reportedly attached to new Star Wars projects to no avail, and apparently he's stuck on his middle part of his Star Wars film. Whereas Kathleen Kennedy said she were waiting for a third act, but he says he's stuck in the middle, so who's right? As a result, the Star Wars universe has only lived on Disney's streaming platform with mixed critical results. Because of the drop-off in interest, Iger and his studio boss Alan Bergman are now in a difficult position. The Disney CEO has not spared high-ranking figures like Marvel's Ike Perlmutter or Vittorio Alonso from the axe, and he has demanded results from his teams in exchange for greater creative control. I mean, the MCU kind of started going downhill when Ike Perlmutter got rid of, and Kevin Feige were given, ultimate control. The Supreme Commander, and it started going downhill after that, didn't it? There needs to be a direct connection between what's being spent and what's being earned from a revenue perspective. It's all about accountability, Iger said in March. All the Star Wars fans want to see Kennedy go in favour of someone like Jon Favreau, the Iron Man director and creator of The Mandalorian. Allegedly, negotiations over whether to renew her contract due to expire next year are slated for this August. My bet is she stays, just with a different mission, wagers Schiffer. The problem isn't Kathleen Kennedy. She's part of the problem. I think I said this in my stream, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? That I don't think she's going anywhere, but I think she might be moved sideways or, promoted up to a top executive position where she's got no influence, but she's there, and she'll still probably get executive producer credits and all the points and money that comes with that. But I don't think they'll just fire her unless they have to. But anyway, if Indiana Jones does flop, what then? Disney is 18 months away from getting a new CEO. Could Iger, because he's on here temporarily, he's Iger, and he says, you never know. Could Iger's successor, unwilling to mop up his Lucasfilm mess, consider a disposal? Unlikely, argues Ampere Analysis's Bisson. Ingenious storytellers can always dream up more compelling Star Wars content, so long as they own the IP. There's an article going on, isn't it? Anyway. I cannot personally see Disney offloading Lucasfilm in the immediate future, the industry expert told Fortune. Perhaps sensing the need to deliver after a long creative drought, Kennedy announced in April that not 1 but 3 new Star Wars films were in the works. They're not. Yet even those show the Lucasfilm boss is unwilling to commit to any one overarching narrative in favour of spreading her bets. The trio are conceived as separate standalone stories, each set in a different period. I think the only one that's likely to happen is The Mandalorian, the Mandalorian Cinematic Universe film, the Dave Filoni one. I don't think the other two are going to happen. Should anyone or all 3 survive development and go into actual production, the damage can still be fixed with the right script and creative vision. This is not forever. If another film turned out to be good, the fans will be there, said Schiffer. In fact, we'd be there first. Yes, if they do something good, the fans will forgive. They will. Remember when Luke Skywalker turned up at the end of Mandalorian Season 2? Everything was forgiven, wasn't it? Star Wars was back. It was amazing. People were crying on the internet. And then you get idiots like Pablo Hidalgo taking the mickey and spoiling it. And then they sacked Gina Carano for nothing. Anyway, this story was originally featured on Fortune.com, but you had to sign up for that. And that's it. Oh, I just said this article's going on a bit and then it ends. So yes, so that's from a business perspective, I suppose. They've paid $4 billion for Disney, and how much have they spent, and how much have they got back? I think Lucasfilm's still losing money for Disney, even though it's made that money in box office receipts, and I suppose maybe to a larger extent, Disney Plus subscriptions. Because as I said, The Mandalorian was the flagship show, wasn't it, on Disney Plus? It was what made me subscribe to Disney Plus, to be honest. And I'm still subscribed because my son loves it. Otherwise, it'd be gone. But anyway, right, we'll leave that there. Final thoughts. I don't think she's going anywhere. Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think they're going to sack her. I think Bob Iger may step in. I mean, it's happened before, hasn't it? She's been told before to stop announcing stuff. That was the rumour anyway. But she keeps doing it. I think she's learned that lesson from J.J. Abrams, because he's the king of announcing stuff just to try and force studios into giving him some money to get a movie or whatever into development. But I think that's what she does. She tries to force Disney to throw in money at her to get these movies into production. And I think Bob Iger will probably step in and say, no, do one of them, pick one, and do that one, and then we'll see how we go. If that makes money, then you can do the others. And I think that's what they'll do. That's what will happen. Right, we will leave it there. So, thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other, and until next time, I'll see thee.